What's up, guys? Welcome back to Nathan Burnett, episode 87. I am joined today with CJ Hoop Talks, as always, as well as Hardwood Hot Takes, aka Jonah. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk about the Trae Young getting traded to the Wizards, as well as the 65 game rule situation with Jokic's injury, and whatever else might come up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Hey, you are cooking!
All right. Now,
Family Guy that way.
so yeah, it's because I have, again, with my stream deck, I can actually play the intro on stream rather than having to edit it in now. So
It's all set.
yeah. But anyway, before we get into all the topics and everything, of course, as I said, we got a new guest with us today, Hardwood Hot Takes, aka Jonah. So let's go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself, man. First of all, I think the easiest question on to get to know you with basketball is, who's your favorite team? How'd you get into the sport? And then you can kind of tell us how long you've been doing content creation and that sort of thing, and then we'll get into some hot takes.
Sounds good, Nathan. Well, first of all, everyone, my name is Jonah. My username is Hardwood Hot Takes, as Nathan mentioned. I'm a Boston Celtics fan. As you can see, I got the Celtics shirt on here, so maybe we'll talk a little bit about that later. But I'm originally from Boston. I now live in Pittsburgh, where there's no NBA team. So one of my motivations of getting into content creation is just that no one around here really talks NBA, knows NBA, and there's kind of no spirit of the NBA around here. So, I used to back home with my friends just discuss like all these takes I have, and we used to just discuss it and have a discourse. But I can't really do that anymore with the people here because no one really cares about the NBA whatsoever. So I started my account just so that I could, share the opinions I have. I'm kind of an opinionated person, and I post it. I get comments, and I go back and forth with people about it. So it's just a fun way for me to go back and forth and talk NBA with people. Been doing it for about a month and a half now, so very new, very fresh to it all, but I'm enjoying it, having fun, and obviously starting to meet new people who I can discuss NBA with. So so far it's been fun. I'm excited to keep going with that.
Of course, of course. So, again, guys, his stuff should be down in the description, so go check him out. Again, he just started a few months ago, a month and a half ago, as he said, but he's got some really good takes, so we can go and support him. I mean, we all got to start somewhere. Me and CJ started out small, and we found each other, and just like Jonah said, it's all about finding some other people that enjoy your passion, doing what you do, and we all support each other. So me and CJ really grew by finding each other. So now we're gonna go help out Jonah as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. We got Trae Young traded to the Wizards. So I saw that Trae Young was gonna get traded like a mile away. Several people had been talking about it. He was one of the only players to ever request a trade to the Wizards. I made a short that Wizards fans really hated because apparently Wizards fans are ride or die, just like Kings fans and Spurs fans. Because I called out their franchise and I basically said the Washington Wizards are where several careers go to die is the phrasing I used. To me, Washington is a graveyard of jerseys. We've seen people like Mitch Richmond, Paul Pierce, Dwight Howard, all of them basically, as soon as they get traded to Washington, they are just half the player that they are. It's like the Monstars in Space Jam took away all their playing potential. But Trae Young is still a young player, so we may not see that happen with him. To me, this is Trae Young's way of just chasing the bag, because whether he wins or loses over there, he knows the GM, which is why he went over there. He knows they'll give him a decent contract and everything. So to me, it's a good decision for him because he's getting his bag. But for the Wizards, it's going to be difficult on defense. Defense has been a struggle for them all season. And now they're getting Trae Young, who is known to be a really poor defender. And as for the Hawks, they basically salary dumped Trae Young. I talked about how they didn't get any trades, which is what they should have done, because the Spurs are getting their pick this season. And if they're trading their franchise player, they really need to stock up on picks and other stuff in order to fully rebuild. But yeah, that's sort of my take. I talked a little bit more about it in YouTube shorts and everything, so go check that out if you haven't. But I'll go ahead and pass it to CJ or Jonah, whoever wants to take it. So
I mean, Jonah, do you want to take it or?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you said, and I'll just add on to a couple points. I think this is mutually beneficial for both Trae Young and the Wizards. From Trae Young's perspective, I mean, as you mentioned, he's very financially incentivized to go to a franchise like that. But additionally, I think we all know that his play style is just super ball dominant. He likes to run an offense. He likes to be the leader of a team, and I think maybe even he realizes that that style would not work on a contender. And so for him, going to a team like the Wizards allows him to still play his brand of basketball without any kind of pressures of winning. And I made a video a while back saying that Trae Young is not a winning basketball player, or at least not on a contender, but I think he is someone who can take a bad team and make them a mediocre team. So I think Trae Young is more than happy to take a team like the Wizards or the Hawks a couple of years ago, play mediocre basketball, run the offense, run the show, make a lot of money, and look, that's perfectly respectable. I have nothing against that from a player perspective. And then for the Wizards, in addition to kind of everything you said, I think this kind of just gives them more business incentive as well, or more business excitement. I think Trae Young's going to bring a lot of ticket and jersey sales to them. They've been bottom tier with kind of notable players for a couple seasons now. Not no notable players, but few and far between. And I think Trae Young is a marketable, exciting, still generally young superstar. I think he's like right around 27, hitting his prime. And I think this is just going to bring them a lot of revenue and excitement that they haven't had in years. So they know that they're not going to be contenders from this, but this will definitely help them just bring in more excitement to the franchise for the fans.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna lie. Just thinking about it and just thinking about Trey Young and what he bring as a player, you think of a player who's playmaking, high offense, just you don't even think about the defensive side of the ball. So I agree with both of y'all. The only thing I really have a problem is when he said that he's going to expand it, not expand, but grow the game of those young guys, like what exactly is he going to do? Because hey, he's taking the ball away from these players. Like the only person I could really see beneficial from him is Alex R. They had AJ Johnson, not AJ Johnson. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but there's a Johnson there that plays there. I can't think on top
on the
of my head right now,
Hawks
but you
or the
hmm?
Wizards? On the Hawks or the Wizards?
Wizards.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say on the Hawks, it's Jalen Johnson, but
No, not him. But it's like a similar situation like that where it just he's taking away opportunities for them to actually grow. I didn't really like exactly him going to the Wizards. I was very hard on him going to the Kings. I felt like the Kings were more of a better suit, especially his style of basketball. It just screams the Kings versus the Wizards. But then again, we talk about the Wizards. The Wizards, they never been good. They have a lot of mid seasons, a lot of seasons where they're trash, or a lot of seasons when they're in the lottery, but they're not so bad enough they not getting the first overall pick or a top 5 pick. So I mean, that's where I see where I can understand why they was okay with doing this trade and pulled the trigger for that trade because they're
yeah.
realizing, hey, yeah, we're tanking and we're not going anywhere with this tanking. Like, we see this all the time. Like, yeah, they can take all they want, but where's the results? The Spurs last year we won 38 games, and we still got a top 3 pick. What other? The Pelicans when they had Zion, when they got Zion, they wasn't even a bad team, really. They still got the number 1 pick. That's what the thing about the draft lottery, where you can't really bank on a draft lottery to get generational talent or talent that you actually need. So I mean that's the only thing I can see why they also pulled the green light for this trade. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, um, I don't know. I think this can help. This is gonna be a weird take, but I think it can help Marvin Bagley the third, because
Okay.
I made a video a few years back when he played with the Pistons, and
Yeah,
the
underrated
way
scorer.
Yeah, the way Cade Cunningham played with Marvin Bagley III, um, or was it? Sorry, I might be getting my people mixed up.
No, he
Uh,
was on the Pistons for a considerable time.
yeah,
I think he was here for like 2 seasons.
yeah, but I compared him to somebody on the Hornets, back when let me go back to video.
Okay.
It was, yeah, Cade Cunningham and Marvin Bagley III are a match made in heaven is the title of the video, uploaded March 2022. So this is a few years old. But in that video, I basically talked about Cade Cunningham is a really good point guard at getting people assist. And Marvin Bagley III was basically really good at pick and roll and kind of alley-ooping and like getting the alley-oops and just fucking dunking and doing highlights off of those assists. And that's why I really liked Cade Cunningham and Marvin Bagley together. So if Trae Young can create some assist, then I really think that him paired with Marvin Bagley would be really good. But it really
Okay.
depends on, again, how much Trae Young is on ball compared to how he previously has been. But again, I could see the Wizards increasing a little bit in standings, because obviously, like, this adds a little bit of star power to them, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Like, I saw, again, I posted that short about how, like, the Wizards is a graveyard of careers and stuff, and I saw some, like, delusional Wizards fans being like, this is going to put us back in the playoffs and, like, all that. And I was like, all right, y'all gotta have a reality check. I was like, it's gonna
Well,
get you maybe to play in maximum, but y'all still gonna be in the
well, wait,
teens, I
hold
think.
on, Nathan. I will say the East is that bad where we can really say that Trae Young by himself, like we disrespect Trae Young. We say that yeah, he's a liability, but we forgetting like Trae Young is still the engine that he is. Like we're just not going to put aside that Trae Young can probably go out there and push them to the playoffs. It's not really like a wild take to say that, you know,
Yeah, I get
especially
what you mean, but I don't know.
okay.
To me, people under people underrate the teams that Trae Young has performed with, and that's what I think is so much. Like, a lot of people be like, or say like Trae Young, carried the Hawks to the playoffs and like, all this kind of stuff. You know, they act like it's freaking LeBron with the Cavs. Like, get him some help. No, he has no
Yeah.
team. But
He was
I
he was the
firmly
engine though.
You what?
He was the engine of all those offenses though. I
Yeah, I
mean,
agree.
he had
But to say that
help,
he
but
had
he was
no
the
help,
full engine.
to me, to say that he had no help though is more outrageous, because people say like Trae Young was the only like decent player on like his playoffs team, and I disagree with that, because even going back to like 2021 with the Bucks, like, people, like, I saw somebody uploaded a screenshot of like the roster of those 2021 Hawks versus the Bucks. And they said like exactly that, where they said like, this is the team that Trae Young had to take into battle. Like, there's no help here. And I was like, bro, you got Kevin Herter on that team. You know, you got this person. I was like, y'all just don't know ball if y'all are like saying that all these role players aren't doing anything. Especially when Trae Young got injured, like, Kevin Herter was putting up shots, man. So, and that's why I watched him whenever he went to the Kings, I think it was, Kevin Herter, because I was like, on the Kings he might get some more minutes and he'll be putting up threes like he did in the playoffs. And that's what I was hoping for. Kevin Herter and like some of those other role players, like, they can shoot. And Clint Capella, he's also doing bad in defensive rating this season, but Clint Capella, he can get you some rebounds. You got Porzingis on the team now. So to say that Trae Young has consistently played on teams full of bums, I think is just incorrect. I think they're just not being used as efficiently. And I know whenever people hear like, oh, the team's not being used efficiently, they instantly jump to, oh, so we should change the coach then. But I don't think that's the solution either, because the Hawks have already been through a couple rotations of coaches and everything. Um, But I just don't think everybody on the Hawks team is being used to their strengths. And to say that like Trae Young has to carry a bunch of bums, I think is not really correct. But I do agree that obviously he's like the engine of whatever team that he plays on. But I don't know. That's just kind of my take. Hopefully, I explained that
I'm
well.
not gonna lie, Nathan. All right, so like just thinking about it, and I do remember like this is just coming off of pure memory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, outside of all right, look, you said Kevin Herter.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a fan with Kevin Herter because they try to compare him with Klay Thompson. I'm like, dude, just because a guy just can shoot threes and that's not Klay Thompson. Klay
Yeah.
Thompson is going side
Well, I
on the
never
other
said he
side.
was on Klay Thompson's level. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying like when people say like he had help like that, I feel like that's where it kind of over exaggerate because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like John Collins before he got his thumb or his one of his fingers messed up where it was just so swole that he couldn't even play on it. That it's certain things like that where I feel like that's where it kind of limited like where this Hawks offense can actually go,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not gonna lie, you can't really name somebody off that bench either. That's the number one thing is too. So that's where we kind of say like, yeah, he's playing with a whole bunch of bums. I mean, outside of him, what All-Star? DeJounte Murray. Nathan, we're Spurs fan. We know
Yeah.
how what DeJounte can do for your team. We know how far DeJounte can bring your team.
The
We knew
problem is they're
writing on
both
the
on
wall that
ball though.
DeJounte Murray trade. We kind of robbed them.
Yeah, we did.
We
We're all
we
of
know.
them. But I think the thing that made that trade even more bad though, and like me and you both called it out as soon as that trade happened. I was like, DeJounte and Trae both play a very selfish like game on the ball. And so having them
Okay.
both on the floor at the same time, like the Hawks were doing, like was just a bad idea to begin with because they both need the ball in their hands. And that again kind of like backs up like what I was saying, which is like they don't know how to put the roster together of like DeJounte and Trae is a perfect example. Like you have two on ball players and you're trying to give them both minutes side by side and make one a shooting guard and one the point guard. It just doesn't work because like if DeJounte has the ball, Trae's not doing anything and vice versa, you know? So
Yeah.
and that's why that trade didn't work. And so I think and I don't know, that's just kind of my take is I agree with you when you said like it's hard to name people on that bench, which kind of goes into like why people say that he doesn't have help. But I do think it's more help than people give credit for. But I don't think that Kevin Herter's Klay Thompson, like you said. But I mean, me and you, CJ, have talked several times about how the media like controls people's narratives like so much. And so I think
Yeah.
like as soon as people call one player a bum, they're automatically a bum. And like as soon as people
Yeah,
say
that's true.
like this player had no help, people go this player had no help and stuff like that rather than like actually looking at like the analytics and everything like that. So,
Yeah.
you got anything else,
I
Jonah?
also I think you have to look actually at the Pacers this season though to because I actually agree with CJ here where I think certain players just elevate role players to such an extent that with that player on the floor, like with Trae Young on the floor, Kevin Herter might seem like a really solid and serviceable role player, but then with the removal of someone like that who can put the role players in positions run the offense, I think automatically, when you say he had no help, he had the right role players around him, but without Trae Young running that offense, those guys wouldn't have been able to do anything. And actually, I think that's why Trae Young going to the Wizards is a perfect move for the Wizards as well. CJ, you said that it takes away opportunities from some of those young guys on the Wizards, and I'm gonna have to disagree with you there too because I don't think any of the guys on the Wizards right now, aside from maybe Bub Carrington, are really being developed as ball dominant players. I think most of them are going to be off ball players who are going to have to learn to play with a star and who are going to be role players alongside a star. And that star for the long term may not be Trae Young. I mean, who knows how long Trae will be on the Wizards and who knows where these guys will go in their careers, but I don't see any of those guys really as ball dominant. And I think bringing in a guy like Trae Young will help develop those young guys into more serviceable role players. And I think that's exactly what he did in Atlanta. So I think Trae Young, the narrative that Trae Young didn't have help in Atlanta is kind of true, but I think he made those guys around him better It's kind of the same effect as James Harden had in 2019, obviously on a much smaller scale. Trae Young is much worse off, but I think James Harden made the guys around him a lot better. Without James Harden, those guys are honestly a team that would have like no wins. And you see with the Pacers this year, right? I mean, they went from game 7 of the finals with Halliburton, who could run the offense, to, one of the worst teams in the NBA. So I do agree that Trae Young really didn't have all that much help, but I think he's going to have a very positive impact on the development of the guys in the Wizards.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else from either of you guys, or do you want to go ahead and move on to the 65 game rule stuff?
Yeah. Let's wait. Hold on. Before you go into, Jonah. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I like your insight on that. Definitely different perspective that I'm seeing right now. I just looked it up. It was AJ Johnson, but I'm confusing him with another player. Uh, there's so many games to watch this season, so that's why I can be like kind of confusing on who I'm. Yeah, I definitely confused AJ Johnson with another player. I'll fix it one day, guys. All right. I know the Wizards fans probably looking at this like, yo, this man don't know anything about our team.
Yeah.
I feel like that's perfectly all right to say, because like it's hard to say. Yeah, I watch the Wizards every time.
I was about to make a joke about that. I was gonna say it's because they're so irrelevant. You don't know anybody on the roster. Taking shots. Taking shots.
Get blown. So it's really hard. I feel like that's real hoop analysis people. That's what they do. Like they watch those games.
Yeah.
That's really hard to watch. Wait 1 second, guys. Hold up. Y'all go on. Hold up.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I just got a question for both of you. In the regular season, sometimes I find myself preferring to watch 2 random teams play as opposed to my team, because I'm less like emotional about it. I'm less invested. Do you guys like experience that too, or?
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Wait, what happened?
He was asking like how much you watch games that aren't your team, and I was saying like as somebody who enjoys basketball, I do that all the time. I mean, you see right here, I got a Bucks championship pendant, and that's because I was on the Giannis train ever since he got drafted. And so I was really cheering for them in the finals. And I had people at work telling me especially as soon as the Suns went 2-0, they were like, "Yeah, the Suns kicking them out" and stuff like that. My boss had a cousin in Milwaukee, and he was going for the Suns, and so he made a bet with me, and he said, "You know what? If the Bucks win, I'll get you a personalized jersey and have my cousin mail it to me from there." And so I think I've worn it on the pod before. I have a shirt that says like Morrison on the back and then Giannis's number and stuff because I won that bet. But I love watching games that aren't my team, man. Especially like whenever because I do the show and everything, I give so many takes all the time. And I love watching games to see how my takes turn out. And a big example of that me and CJ have joked about was Timberwolves Nuggets, because I predicted before the playoffs started. I saw that they were I think this was it 2023 finals or what, 2024, CJ, do you remember?
Wait, you said Timberwolves versus Nuggets. That's when Jokic got his first ring. That was probably 2023.
No, I'm saying no, Timberwolves Nuggets when the Nuggets lost. So this was Mavs Celtics.
Before.
Okay. So
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I knew that Jonah would know because again, he's a Celtics fan. But I'm pretty sure this was Mavs Celtics year. And as soon as
so 2024.
Yeah, and I saw the Timberwolves and Nuggets up against each other, and like with the seeding, and I said Timberwolves are gonna win in 7 games because they have better defense. Jokic is gonna get tired, and they're gonna win. And me and CJ have like that one group chat, and we were like, the group chat was going crazy during that playoff series, and I was watching every single game because I wanted to see if I was correct. And also I do this thing before playoffs where I give my just like March Madness, I give like my bracket and how many games each team is gonna like take to win. And up until Timberwolves Mavs, I think it was, I had gotten like every single series correct down to the game, and I had Timberwolves in the finals, so that's like the only one I got wrong. And so the group chat's going crazy because Timberwolves and Nuggets are facing each other, and I forget how it went, but it was like 2-1 and then 2-2 and then 3-2 and then 3-3. And so it comes down to game 7 and the group chat's going crazy. They're like, Nathan, Nuggets gonna prove you wrong. And I'm like, y'all just watch, man. Y'all just watch. And of course, what I said happened. Jokic gets gassed. Jokic is like the main player on their team. Jokic is tired, and the Timberwolves start going on runs. And Timberwolves win in game 7. And so then the group chat starts blowing up again, and CJ and everybody starts joking. They're like, Nathan has the script, because like the whole joke, the NBA scripted. They're like, Nathan has the script. Nathan has the script, because I had predicted every single playoff series up until that point. And so I watch all sports, man. Not all sports, all basketball, because that's why I do this. I love everything about it. Of course, my channel is mainly Spurs based because I live in San Antonio, and that's what I feel like my viewer base mainly is San Antonio. And I also have the opportunity to talk about things that are more local, where Clay the Spurs fan who's based in Memphis and CJ who's like Atlanta don't have the opportunity to talk about that kind of stuff, versus like I can talk about stuff like Prop A and B, which was like a huge deal here. And like I have the opportunity where like I was getting the advertisements for Prop A and B and was showing them on stream. I'm showing the newspaper clippings of like stuff from the Spurs and stuff like that. So like me being local, I have like the opportunity to do that. And so that's why I mainly focus on like San Antonio, but I cover everything, man. So
Yeah, I at least try to watch at least 10 to, I won't say 10, but like at least like 10 to 20 games of like each team. Well, especially like on the lower teams, I'll say like the main base markets, I'm definitely like more of a watcher. Like Lakers, Spurs, OKC, Warriors, um, Phoenix. I actually always have a list at the end of the year of the NBA season to see like which teams I usually don't really be watching like that. Um, the Wizards definitely the main one that come up. They're always top 3. Pistons, but I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching the Pistons more this season because Cade, he's definitely been hooping. And in the Hornets. It's always those 3 teams. But I mean, since I'm in like the east side of where I'm at right now, I get more East games versus everywhere else. Man, we coming off of illegal streamies, that's the best ones right there,
yeah.
Yeah. Looking at crack streams, getting viruses on my computers. But yeah, I try to just stay informed. I can have a general basis of idea of a team. And sometimes I don't even go into like just watching a game just because I'm watching a specific team. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I want to see how this one player plays. And it just happens they're playing, probably some bad teams, So yeah, that's where I kind of put my basis on. Then also it does kind of help when I do be posting on like Instagram and everything, because like I have to do research or so
yeah.
I mean, I'll give you a hot take that
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I was just gonna make a joke and say shout out Kenny for real, because like he was joking about that, where he has a monitor. He has like a TV screen at his computer desk, and he'll put up like 5 games like in split screen mode to watch, like try and keep up with all the games that are on at the same time. And he's like, man, it's difficult. So
yeah,
you got so much. No, I mean, I'll give the hot take that I prefer during the regular season. I'm a Celtics fan. I love the Celtics. I prefer watching non-Celtics games. I prefer the nights that the Celtics are not playing, so that I can just enjoy the game and like just watch basketball for the sake of basketball without really rooting for the team. Whereas when the Celtics are playing, man, like I'm not enjoying it I'm just like, and I think Celtics fans are pretty pessimistic. So like anytime anything like bad happens, we just get like we get pissed off, and it's just not as enjoyable. But yeah, it's good to hear that you guys also share that sentiment of watching other teams. I think it's so much fun.
Sorry, I thought you were done. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to segue what you said. Actually, we were originally going to talk about the 65 game rule, but I'm going to change it on the spot here. So sorry for you guys being prepared for another topic. But that's a really good segue, especially because I have a video that is going to talk about the differences between David Stern and Adam Silver. So, do you guys think that sports gambling has ruined the NBA or the NFL, mainly the NBA because we're talking about basketball, but I think it's ruined a lot of sports. And especially with NBA expansion coming up, they're probably going to build a team in Vegas. And I'm under um, the impression or the opinion that they shouldn't build a team in Vegas if they expand because obviously they're going to probably do it because it's more money for the NBA and their business at the end of the day, as I always say. But for the fans, a team in Vegas is going to suck because I, again, have the opinion sports gambling has really tarnished basketball and sports in general. And I just bring that up because what Jonah had said, he was like, I like watching basketball for the sake of basketball rather than cheering for my team. And that kind of sparked that thought where like I've seen so many people bring up like people with parlays and stuff like that has ruined the essence of watching basketball for basketball versus watching if somebody's going to get 20 points in that night for you to make like $100 or whatever. And like people get so upset when their parlays don't hit and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's really ruined the spirit of sports. But what do you guys think?
I mean, I'm going to agree with you on that. I personally don't sports gamble for that exact reason. I think if I were to, I would be just watching the game and specifically like looking at one player or whatever my parlay was, and I'm just focusing on the game just for that. And by the way, like if that doesn't hit, which you're never going to win in the long run with any form of gambling. So inevitably, like when that doesn't hit, you're going to have a pretty poor experience and you're going to do it again kind of out of I don't know, whatever like keeps you gambling. Maybe you want to get it back. Maybe you win enough to convince yourself that you're actually winning long term when you're not. I'm not about to go on a whole like anti-sports gambling tangent here or like
Yeah.
why you shouldn't. But I'm just saying I think it kind of ruins your experience where you're not enjoying the game. And when you lose that parlay, like that you wasted like 2.5 hours where you're just glued to the TV, like thinking you're gonna make money, and then you're so upset you just wasted all that time, and you don't even know what happened in that game.
Yeah.
Um, so it takes away the enjoyment of the game, and I feel like people need to go back to like maybe you can place bets with your friends that way you're like connecting with humans and you can talk about
Yeah.
sports that way, but like
Stick to
against
fantasy
these Vegas
basketball, not IRL money gambling.
you're never going to be Vegas, man. So
Yeah.
why set yourself up for disappointment in the long run? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just my take.
Oh man, y'all gonna hate me for this one. Nathan knows me. I definitely sports gamble here and there.
Yeah.
I'll
We
say it. I
can't.
do it for more of the fun. It adds a little salt. Like you're
Yeah.
eating some fries. You're just like, dang, this fry just
Everything
tastes
in
like
Yeah.
potatoes.
moderation.
I don't want to. I just
Yeah,
realized I probably shouldn't have brought that up because I'm kind of screwing over CJ because I think at one point he had some sponsorships and I don't want to fuck him up.
yeah.
So
I definitely did. Yeah, yeah. It's
I
so
don't want. I
crazy.
don't want
It's
him to
those
be on a
sponsorships
video
just
talking
like
about sports gambling's bad whenever he had some sponsors.
I had to stop him. I was like, the way how I sports gamble, I do it because I know no matter what, I'm gonna watch the game and be having fun with it. It doesn't matter if it's football or basketball. I just know I'm watching it. Oh wow, he's hooping. You know,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Those sponsorships, yeah. I had to stop doing it because I was like, yo, I don't want somebody to go in there. Cause I actually seen the evil side of gambling, where it's just
Yeah.
somebody who what Jonah said is just like watching the whole game, just like, oh man, this man's a bum. He couldn't give me a 30 PRA.
Yeah.
Even though he was super close to it, but it's just like he's not really enjoying the game. He's just watching to see how his $5 bet went.
Yeah.
And it does rob you. So I can see both sides where hey, you can have fun with it versus hey, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, because people are irresponsible with it and stuff. And that's the thing. Like, there needs to be more legislation about it, and that gets into the whole politics stuff, which I won't get into. But, yeah, because have you guys? This is a little bit of tangent. I won't spend too much time on it. It's just something funny. Have y'all seen the TikToks of people gambling on the anti-gambling hotline? They'll
No, I
they'll
haven't.
they'll be with their buddies and they'll be like, I got $100 on the caller being a woman, and they'll call the anti-gambling hotline, and they'll pick up and be like, "Hi, my name is Sarah. How can I help you?" And they'll just scream into the phone like, "Fuck yeah!" and then hang up. And they're betting on like the anti-gambling hotline. I saw somebody do it on a stream with their chat, and their chat goes, I have the 500 over I have the 1 to 500 bet that the next person you call his name is Peter. And so the dude calls the anti-gambling hotline, and like the dude's doing like the, "Hi, how can I, welcome to the anti-gambling hotline, how can I help you?" And the guy goes, "All right, before we get into anything, what's your name?" And the guy says something like, "Oh, my name's James." And he just goes, "Fuck," and hangs up. Just again, it like goes into the problem that people have, man. So but yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into the to the 65 game rule. This will probably be our last topic of the day, because I'm sure we all have a lot to say about this. I have a lot to say about this because I was very frustrated with how should I put this? I was very frustrated with the response that I got on my post about it, because I don't know if y'all saw back when Jokic was up for his I think it was either his first or second MVP. Kendrick Perkins like came out and was saying like, "Oh, the only reason Jokic is winning MVP is because he's a white guy," and he was claiming that like all the MVP voters were racist and stuff like that. And I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was Stephen A. Smith like called him out on that and said like, "You cannot say that MVP voting is based on race when Jokic is balling out right now. Like, why are you making it about race when none of this has to do with race?" And I say that to say, I posted a reel that said, like after Jokic got injured, saying the 65 game rule like needs to be changed. And I got a lot of comments because I'm a white basketball content creator saying like, "Oh, of course you want to change the rule now that like your white golden boy gets injured." And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, that has nothing to do with it. I've been saying that we need to change the 65 game rule since like Wemby got drafted, bro. Like,
Yeah,
what
I
are we
hate that
on?
everybody be face baiting on this. You know, especially on the years. I think Nathan, I actually came and showed you like some of these guys who be like leaving really disgusting comments. Like,
Yeah,
um, man, you should have seen the comments of what they were saying about Ace Bailey because he's in Utah. You know, it's
yeah,
just it's crazy. Like, yo, like not everything has to be about race. You know, so,
yeah.
like why can't we just call a spade a spade? You know, like
Exactly, dog. So I wanted to get
yeah.
y'all's opinion on like the 65 game rule because again, I got a lot of backlash for it. Because I just made a post about what's trending. That's what you do as a content creator. Jokic got injured. People talking about the 65 game rule. I made a post about the 65 game rule. People said I only made it because of Jokic, and I was like, no, like Wemby's injured too. Giannis is injured too. Luka might not even be in MVP conversations because if he gets injured. And I saw a post that had like all of those players side by side after I made my short, and it had a picture of Jokic, Wemby, Giannis, Luka, and I forget who the fifth one was. But they were saying like 4 out of your 5 best players in the NBA aren't going to be eligible for awards because of this rule. And then I've seen like a lot of people debate like, "Oh, it needs to stay because the best ability is availability," is what people keep quoting and stuff. But I never said that we should get rid of the rule. I very clearly stated in my YouTube short that the rule needs to be refined, meaning we need to make it more like actually controlled rather than a blanket, like if you don't play 65 games you're out. It needs to be more conditional, I think, or like change how many games it is
Wait, hold
or
on. So
things like that.
Nathan, so when you mean conditional, are you talking about like their type of injuries they have? It can't be that like if it's really that severe, they should be having like a considerable nod for like a all NBA first team, or
I
is that something?
I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not the one responsible for making the rules, but
Okay,
I would say something similar to that. Like,
okay,
I'm not saying like, "Oh, you have an injury and you're completely exempt of the 65 game rule," because I do see
yeah.
the other side that people are saying, which is the best ability is availability. I do see that, and I do kind of agree with that. But again, you're having injuries that are so spread out that just add up to, like, you can't miss 17 games. That's the number, because there's 82 games in a season. You need to play 65 games, right? So
Yeah.
if you have one injury that is like out for like 20 games, to me, that's different than if you have 4 injuries where you're sitting out 5 games at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it needs to be a little bit different, because that was the case with Wemby and Jokic, if I remember. Like, they had an injury earlier in the season, and now they have an injury. Like, Wemby was injured in December, Jokic is injured now, and like each injury wasn't that long, but the fact that they were out like multiple times for an extent, like for a few game stretch,
Yeah.
like it adds up. And so I think maybe what you can do, and like a big reason for that is because Jokic, Wemby, like these teams, they're playing a lot of back-to-backs. And so if you're out for one game, you're going to be out for like 4 games, because you're playing Monday through Thursday, like nonstop almost. And so maybe something could be written like that, where it's like back-to-back games only count as like one game towards the rule, like you sitting out, something like that. Because if you're out, again, if you're injured and you're out one game and you play like 3 games back-to-back, you're probably going to be out all 3 games. So I think it would, maybe something like that could be good, where like you write it to where like back-to-backs are kind of like counted differently, or I don't know. It's just, to me, like, again, like these players are playing phenomenal, and they have like one thing that happens and it all comes crashing down. And again, back-to-backs lead to more injuries anyway, because you're constantly putting in that energy like without rest. And I don't know, it's I don't want the league to go back to load management, because again, like that's why so many people defend the rule, is because load management was such a big issue, and this is to mitigate that. But again, it's one of those things where just like in school, it's like if one person screws up, you punish the whole class versus like that one person. And it's kind of the same thing with the league right now. It's like you had a few people doing load management, and now you're setting like a blanket rule for everybody that is punishing the people that were rightfully injured and like doing it correctly, versus like the people that played one game out of 50 for like 5 minutes because their contract like said they had to, you know. So that's kind of my take. Is I never said get rid of the rule. I just think some sort of like legal language needs to be added to it to make it actually make sense, versus like the NBA kind of slapped down the 65 game rule as a band-aid to like apply to everything, and that's not how the world works. I mean, even the government laws are written like that. It's not like you kill somebody, you go away this many years for murder. It's like there's a bunch of like subsets, and like if this happened, like, you know, there's addendums to the rule. And I think NBA needs to follow that. Like, add addendums to the rule rather than a blanket coverall.
I hear what you're saying.
Oh, my fault.
No, go ahead.
If you want to go, you can, man.
All right, man. No, I was just gonna say I hear what you're saying, but I think at that point you kind of get too deep in the weeds, and I think every situation, every injury is just so individual and unique, and it impacts teams so differently that I don't think there's any way you could write a rule that would really properly evaluate every situation uniquely and would really give justice to, you know, different players and different teams. And I personally think that we should just get rid of the rule, but I do agree that the best availability is availability. So when we're voting on, you know, MVP, we should be factoring in how many games this guy missed, when did he miss them, how many different injuries did he sustain. Like, we should be applying nuance to our voting and our decision making. But I think any rule you're going to set is going to take away from nuance you can apply to individual situations. And I mean, maybe if you just apply like a ton of addendums, you know, whatever, but I think it's going to be very challenging to really capture unique situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but again, it's just, I feel like it's way too limiting, because I made this point in my YouTube short that say this rule, say we do away with it in like 5-10 years or whatever. people, whenever they look back the same way we look at like the 90s or the 80s or whatever, people are going to go to Basketball Reference or whatever exists in 10, 15 years. They're going to look at the stats. They're going to look at a player's resume, and they're not going to have the context of that rule. So a player like Wemby, a player like Jokic, some of the best players in the league, whenever you put them in conversations for like other great players, their argument is going to immediately be discounted because they don't have certain awards because this rule existed. And I brought up, like, again, my channel focuses a lot on like numbers and analytics and things like that. You could go to Basketball Reference and see the odds. We were just talking about gambling a little while ago, but you could see the odds of like a player to win MVP, right? Prior to Jokic's injury, he had a 75% chance to win MVP, and now he's ineligible for it. And that's what I'm saying is, like, you're in 10 years, you're going to look back at 2025 to 2026 season. You're going to see SGA got another MVP, and people are going to be like, well, SGA has back-to-back MVPs. He did this, he did that. He's an excellent player. He's better than Jokic. When Jokic, he would have had the MVP if not for this rule, but they're not going to have that context when comparing resumes and stats and stuff. And that, to me, is like the biggest problem with the rule, is because it's hurting people's, like, it's hurting the historical value of what these players do whenever it comes to things like Hall of Fame ballots, whenever it comes to respecting them once their time has gone. You know, like players like Bill Russell has now passed away, and we look back and he's got 12 rings. And like, you know, look, whenever the time has come that it's like 40 years down the line and like these players have been retired, or like maybe some have died and stuff, you look back at their accomplishments, they're not going to have these accomplishments when they should have had them, simply because this rule existed. And it was a Band-Aid blanket all to everything when there should have been some nuance to it.
I just would like to say, I've never been a fan of this stupid rule. When the rule first dropped, I made a video. It's on my channel. Oh, it's gonna be a hard thing looking for, because I have like over 500 videos uploaded. But yeah, I was like, yeah, we're robbing players of all-time greats, and I already knew that this was a bad rule, because like I just knew it. I knew it. I legit have a video. It's out there. It's somewhere on my channel. I'm just saying, yeah, this is just a bad rule. We're gonna have guys who shouldn't even be on the All NBA team making third teams, or they were making first team just because I mean, do we still even do position, or we do positionless now?
I think there are certain All NBAs that are positionless and certain that are positioned. It's either the NBA first team is positioned and the rest are positionless, or the other way around, I think. Something like that.
Okay, but still, like, I already knew, like, it was going to be terrible, because, like, why are we robbing players just because they can't control when they're not healthy? And also, I'm glad that y'all, I think it was Nathan who brought up the back-to-backs, where it's actually very hard for a player. Especially if you play basketball and you play all day, every day. They're training, they're eating, they're sleeping, and they're waking up to basketball. That's not sustainable, all these back-to-backs. And everybody, they've been so vocal about that. Yeah, we don't want back-to-backs, but, you know, money talks first. So that's probably like, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. I always said this, though, but if they're going to have this rule implemented, they need to go back in time and change some things, because there's definitely players that who played only 50 games or played less than 50 games, and they're all NBA teams. Or they have certain accolades that we're looking at it, they're like, oh, they wouldn't win it now. So, you know, why have that rule now? Like, you know, like, why? Because we know the impact of a player when they're playing. So just give us the time to evaluate it. We're not, the lowest we had for a person to make an All NBA team, and they only play under 50 games. I think it was Dennis Rodman. And you know, Dennis Rodman, I have videos on him where I'm just not even calling him a prolific kind of player. Where
He's an
all
elite
these players, all
rebounder,
these
but
guys
yeah.
are saying they love this hump.
I said he was an elite rebounder, but that was the thing is like he was like Phil Jackson used him only for one job because that's what he was like good for. Everybody on that team had a
But
role.
it's stuff like that where it's just like when you looking back on it, you're just like, yo, how did he make the All NBA team versus? Oh, I don't have a good player on my top of my head right now, but it's just like, yo, it's just stuff like that. Like, I already knew it was just gonna be a dumb rule. Because I mean, Joel Embiid was the number one person when the rule came out, where I was like, yeah, it's kind of dumb. It's kind of stripping away Joel Embiid all his accolades.
Hmm.
We know he when he's at the top of his peak, he's an MVP. He's a 30 point. He give you 10. My gamble just went bad. I don't know what happened. But still, like like it's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's why we're letting voters decide it. You know what I mean? I don't think there should be a rule. We should just look at how the season went and how many games they played, and we can make that decision ourselves. You
Yeah,
know,
Yeah.
as the decision maker, we can apply that as opposed to an arbitrary number of games you have to play, and that's your cutoff, and that's that. You know.
Hmm. Yeah. And this goes into what Jonas said about like the votes should decide it at the end of the day. That was another like hot take I had where I don't even consider it a hot take, but other people said it was a hot take. But I think it's pretty black and white. Is people were saying like LeBron should be in the All-Star game even if he isn't voted. And I said no. If he's not voted, he's not voted. And everybody brought up like, well, they let Dirk in the All-Star game when he wasn't voted. They let Magic in the All-Star game when he wasn't voted. And I was like, and I don't defend those decisions either. You're acting like I'm saying those are okay, but LeBron isn't. No, I don't think any of those are all okay across the board. If a player isn't voted to play in the All-Star game, they're not voted to play in the All-Star game. That's the whole point of the votes. If you're letting a player play without being voted, you're taking away the entire point of the vote. You're taking away fan like empowerment and stuff like that, and the fans this isn't his shoes. But yeah, I don't have too much to say on that. That was just like another thing that I wanted to get in. Again, I made a short about that, and people, of course, all the LeBron fans came out and were like, "But he's the GOAT. He should play." And I was like, "Nah, he's 41 years old. If he ain't voted, he ain't fucking voted. He's going down. He's going downhill." This is where I'm gonna get into hot take part. This is where I'm gonna get heated. But he's on the fucking downhill. He makes the Lakers worse when he's playing this season. He needs to retire. He's at the end of his wits end with basketball. Get him the fuck out of the league already. He should not be an all-star.
Oh, come on. No. We did not get on here just to slander LeBron. He's an all-time great. He's arguably the GOAT.
That's why I knew I was gonna get CJ going.
Game, at least just say the All-Star game. They just can have some legacies. Okay, we need to have some legacy rosters, like 2 players or 1 player on each roster. That's just a legacy player that. Yeah, of course, but we knew what they were. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew what they could have been. You know what they was. But all right, let's chill on the LeBron slander. All right, like come on.
For context, Jonah.
You hate LeBron. You know what I'm saying?
For context, Jonah, this comes up almost every podcast me and CJ are on. I'm an MJ GOAT defender, and CJ is a LeBron GOAT defender, and so I slander LeBron all the time. And CJ always has to like jump in to defend him. But
Classic.
yeah, I think what CJ mentioned though would actually be a good idea though. If you get like 2 players, like say there's 2 players that have like announced their retirement, one on the West and one on the East. If you had like a reserved slot like for legacy players that like that like it's going to be their last year, and then fans vote on like the rest of the roster, I think that could be a decent idea, cuz then it's like it's not an exception for one player. It's something that's just built in to like the roster system. Like players that are over 35 or like 36 or something, like their careers like starting to end, and like fans vote on like that legacy spot or something. That could maybe be a good option. But I don't know. To me, if you're not voted, you're not voted. So
I agree. I think we should let the fans, speak for themselves and who they'd want in the All-Star game. And at the end of the day, like a legacy spot, I think it sounds good in theory, but in practice, like, is that really like there are a lot of issues with the All-Star game right now and how it's just a mess and it's not really a competitive basketball game. And I think introducing something like that is just gonna make it even more of a joke. And if we want the All-Star game to be respected and treated as a genuine accomplishment to make that team and to play in that game, I think we should completely leave it up to the fans to decide, okay, who are the best basketball players in the NBA and, who really deserves to be in that game. But I will say I do believe LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. I'm gonna
Oh my
side with you on
god.
this, CJ. But I do not. But
Jonah, you've made an enemy. No, I'm just kidding.
but I agree. I don't think he should make the All-Star game. So I'm gonna agree with you on that, Nathan. I don't think he should be in the All-Star game this year. I wouldn't go as far as to say he makes the Lakers worse. I think he's making them slightly better. Maybe he has a neutral impact, but yeah, I kind of agree and disagree with
I've
both.
brought up the on-off ratings where the Lakers score 2 more points when he's off the court and 2 less points when he's off. But
I
it's
mean, then also you got to bring in the fact like Luca, Reeves, and Braun hasn't played that many games together this season. Like they're very spread it out.
at the start of the
It's
season,
actually
Luca and them played a bunch of games without LeBron, and every single one they were balling up. As soon as LeBron came back, they started losing.
well, I mean, like, do you really think that's sustainable when you say stuff like that? Like, do you really think, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, eventually they was gonna flame out. Man, that's the thing I say. Like, eventually those holes would definitely were gonna be more apparent.
Hmm.
They're playing a whole different style of basketball. Like, eventually they're gonna be like, yeah, Austin Reeves, let's just cut him off where he doesn't really see his inside the post. I don't I be forgetting what JJ Redick be running his type of offensive style of system that he
Hmm.
runs. But it's stuff like that where like yeah, let's cut off Austin Reeves from a three. Let's cut off Luca from driving in and make
Hmm.
him let him settle. It's stuff like that. Also,
Yeah.
what teams are they playing on the run that they went on? I was actually watching some games. I think they beat our Spurs. Yeah, they beat our Spurs. That's when they had that nasty free throw match.
Yeah.
Where it's stuff like that. Where you watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different when you actually watching what's going on.
Yeah, but like also JJ Redick also had that post game interview whenever they lost and said like there's players trying to do what they shouldn't be doing. He said something like that, like players who are trying to get the ball when they shouldn't have the ball, players that are trying to do what they shouldn't be doing, and players that think
I
that
mean,
they
when
can
has
control this
JJ
team.
Redick?
And he was pretty much referring to LeBron with that because they lost the game because LeBron was trying to take too much control when Luca was going off that game, and like LeBron wanted to be the star and then fucking like choked the team. And JJ
But
Redick
yeah,
came
my
out post
problem
game
with that
interview and
is
said, "You
like
need to play as a player and not fucking egotistical."
yeah, but my problem is with that is like when JJ Redick lose, he never really say anything positive about his team. Like if you really watch those interviews, like JJ Redick when he lose, like he's
Oh,
trashing his own team. He's like the worst hater to actually be on because like you just be like, damn coach, can you at least say something positive
CJ
about
will
me?
like this
No,
joke. It's like a
y'all are.
DPS in Marvel Rivals. GG no heals.
He never say anything positive when he lose.
And JJ
Yeah.
Redick's always after the game, like, these guys, they don't know the plays. Like, they had no idea what they're doing out there. You're the coach. Like, you're the one who's supposed to teach them what the plays are and where they're supposed to be. So when
Yeah.
you get on the mic after the game talking about, like,
Mm,
oh, why did none of my players, like, know any of the
yeah.
plays? I mean,
Sorry,
someone's not doing
I'm
their job right. You know what
yeah,
I
you're
mean?
right. I'm just laughing because I'm thinking about the joke I told CJ. It's just the more we describe JJ Redick, the more I'm thinking of like it's exactly like whenever you're playing rivals and a DPS is like, oh my team is trash and they're 0-8, and it's like, bro, you're the one throwing. What do you mean?
Yeah. And also, my friend, he actually made this beautiful just his take about JJ Redick. What I found funny is that like JJ Redick, he hates his own archetype as a player. Like you
Hmm.
see Dalton Connect, like
And
he's
connect.
just not he don't want to play him, but
Well, they
He's
tried to trade him
legit.
before, and then he came back, and Dalton Connect was like, "Hey, y'all just tried to trade me. We need to have a talk."
Pretty sure he's over it at this point because
Yeah.
he kind of sees, like
It's the
it's
nature
a
of the beast.
business.
It's the nature of the NBA. So yeah, he got over it. It's
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just worried about that second contract now. Like he can't really be too butthurt about that. You're like you worried
yeah,
about money at this point, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll ask you a
Anything
question.
else that you guys got to say? I know we've probably been going for about an hour or so. So anything else that you guys want to talk about? I forgot to. I should have done it before we switched to the 65 game rule from the Trae Young stuff. But I forgot to shout out the sponsors if we have any for this video. So if I got sponsors for this video, check out the description. It'll probably just be my merch and stuff. So go check out all the links in the description as well as Jonah's stuff. I'm wearing some of the merch right now, as I always am every single podcast. So go check it out. Jonah, CJ, you got anything else or?
I don't really have anything to say. I would just like to say welcome to the team, Jonah.
Thank
You
you.
know, this year we've been saying consistency, 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 and I feel like 2026 is about to be a 2016 year. Like we're about to just have fun. That's all we can do. Just
Fetty
have
Wap's out
fun
of
and
jail. We going on 2016 mode.
hey man, hey Nathan, this is probably the perfect time to come to Atlanta, man. Like I might come see you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
dude, yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah,
have a
I'll just say
2021
that,
year. I don't know if you remember, CJ. It was either 2021 or 2022. That's when my channel blew up. I went from 700. I went from 700 subs to over 10K subs. So I'm trying to have another year like that. So
it's 2021.
that was
yeah,
2021. I thought that
it
was
was like
like
2020. It was, what year was it?
I thought it was like right after Jokic won his ship, like around 2023
It might have been
ish.
2023. I'm fucking up my years, man. Again, I've joked before. After COVID, my years are all fucked up. But I'm trying to have a year like that, bro. It might have been 2023, but yeah, I'm trying to have a year like that where I literally went from 700 subs to over 10K, and I'll put it up on here on the screen whenever I'm recording, or I mean editing the video. We are at 12,890, I believe, which means we're only 110 away from 13K. Let's see if we can hit 20K or even. Well, let's start at the easy goal first. Let's hit 15K. I want to try and hit 20 or 25K by the end of this year. That way, by the end of 2027, we can maybe hit 50K or 100K. I would love to get that YouTube plaque. So please, if you've watched this far, especially in an hour-long podcast, and you're not subscribed, I mean, why not, man? You're already an hour into one of our videos, so you're sure to enjoy that stuff. So go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and check out CJ's stuff as well. Again, he's been collabing with me for a long time. As he said last episode, 5 years together, man. So we've been growing together. He's like another brother. So go and check his stuff out. He'll always be in the description whenever he's with me. Go and check Jonah's stuff out too. Give him some love, help him grow. Again, he's only been doing this a few months, so he'll be sure to be up there with us. He's got some really good takes. He focuses more on short form content, so you'll definitely see his stuff over on TikTok and stuff like that. But if he ever jumps into longer form videos on YouTube, we'll be sure to let you know. And yeah, with all that said, check out the merch, all that good stuff. Nathan Bunnett, episode 87.